so that instead of 11%, we really have only 1% of the American people that are below the poverty level. Is that fraud? Is it fraud if a cabinet secretary knows that and doesn't do anything about it?
Senator, there are a range of criminal tools that the Department of Justice can bring to bear.
Is that fraud?
Fraud in the classic sense of executing a scheme to defraud a government program, probably not.
Is it right?
No, it is not right.
Is it moral?
No, it is not, Senator.
Is it ethical? It's on your nomination. What kind of fraud are you going to go after?
Senator, the core that I would say that we're going to go after within this division initially as we build out will be taxpayer-funded programs such as Medicaid, such as the SNAP program, and other subsidiary HHS, USDA, et cetera, programs. We will be putting our view there.
Who's going to make the decision about which of these specific types of fraud you go after?
Senator, in the course of building out investigations, we work directly with the federal investigators.
Who's going to make the decision about which specific types of fraud you go after?
Senator, with respect to this role, I believe I will be working with the Deputy Attorney General and the Attorney General to figure out how we prioritize this mountain of fraud.
So it's you, the Deputy Attorney General, and the Attorney General?
Yes, Senator.
Okay. So if you've got 10 cases of clear fraud, you and the Deputy and the Attorney General will sit down and decide which ones to prosecute and prioritize?
Well, Senator, when it comes to the case level, that work happens within our line AUSAs.
Counselor, I got 5 minutes. No disrespect. You're a good guy. Answer my question.
At the programmatic level and as we build out the division, those decisions will be made with the Deputy Attorney General and the Attorney General. With respect to specific case questions,
do you already have cases in mind?
I do not have cases in mind, Senator.
Okay. So suppose we can agree. I think that the federal taxpayers, American taxpayers, put up between 50 and 90% of the money in the Medicaid program. States love it. Let's suppose that you have a governor who knows there's fraud in his Medicaid program, but he ignores it because he would lose all this federal money. Is that fraud?
Senator, I think that's a form of fraud, waste, and abuse, whether it fits within the contours of criminal culpability.
Is that the sort of thing you're going to look at?
Senator, as referenced earlier, we will be looking at the full scope of fraud.
Answer my question, Counselor. Is that the sort of thing you're going to look at?
Senator, I do plan to look at the full range of potentially criminally culpable actors.
Let's suppose, are you familiar with an inspector general?
Yes,
I'm sure you are, because you're a good lawyer. Let's suppose, and you're aware, I'm sure, that inspectors general act independently of a cabinet secretary under the law. I think it's 5 U.S.C. section 417 can only overrule an inspector general if what that inspector general is doing is dramatically hurts the U.S. interests or some sort of pretty language like that. Let's suppose an inspector general comes in and a cabinet secretary or a senior official says to an inspector general, I want to know what cases you're investigating. And you have to tell me. And if any of them are going to impact me in terms of my reputation, I'm going to pull you off of them. Is that fraud?
Senator, I would see that as a form of conflict of interest to the extent that that'll look bad for the cabinet secretary.
I know that. Is that the sort of thing you're going to get involved in?
Senator, I will be focused on criminal prosecutions. That will be my focus in identifying fraudsters operating, taking money.
Let's suppose the Census Bureau tells you that 11% of the American people are poor, and we get to decide the definition. But we're going to exclude about 80% of the federal benefits that we give to folks in determining this 11%. So that instead of 11%, we really have only 1% of the American people that are below the poverty level. Is that fraud? Is it fraud if a cabinet secretary knows that and doesn't do anything about it?
Senator, there are a range of criminal tools that the Department of Justice can bring to bear.
Is that fraud?
Fraud in the classic sense of executing a scheme to defraud a government program, probably not.
Is it right?
No, it is not right.
Is it moral?
No, it is not, Senator.
Is it ethical?
Senator,
Does not seem ethical to me, Senator.
Thank you for your indulgence, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Ronald.
Answer my question, Counselor. In that moment, the chamber shifted. Senator John Kennedy leaned forward, his voice steady but unmistakably firm, cutting through layers of careful phrasing and procedural caution. What began as a routine confirmation exchange turned into something more revealing, a confrontation not just about policy, but about power, discretion, and moral clarity inside the Department of Justice. The nominee had outlined his intent to pursue fraud in taxpayer-funded programs, Medicaid, SNAP, federal assistance flowing through HHS and USDA, programs funded largely by the American people, programs built to sustain the vulnerable and supported by billions in federal dollars. The mission sounded straightforward: protect taxpayer funds, prosecute wrongdoing, restore accountability. But then came the deeper question: who decides? When there are 10 clear cases of fraud, who chooses which ones matter most? Who determines which investigations move forward and which are left behind? The nominee acknowledged that decisions would be made in coordination with the Deputy Attorney General and the Attorney General. A hierarchy, a chain of command, a structure of discretion, and that is where the gravity lies. Because in Washington, discretion is power. When Senator Kennedy pressed further, asking whether political actors who knowingly ignore fraud in exchange for preserving federal funds should be investigated, the answers became cautious, measured, legalistic. Words like criminal culpability replaced the sharper language of moral judgment: fraud, waste, abuse. But what qualifies? And who draws the line? The hearing moved into hypotheticals, but the implications were real. What if a governor knowingly overlooks systemic fraud to protect funding? What if a cabinet secretary pressures an inspector general to reveal investigations that could damage reputations and threatens removal if those investigations prove inconvenient? Is that fraud? The nominee framed it as a conflict of interest, not necessarily criminal, not automatically prosecutable. And there, in that distinction, lies the tension at the heart of American governance. The law defines crime, but morality defines trust. The Department of Justice is not merely a prosecutorial body, it is a guardian of public confidence. When Americans fund programs with their tax dollars, when they entrust billions to federal agencies, they assume oversight will be impartial. That investigations will not bend around political convenience. That decisions will not be shaped by who benefits, but by what is right. Senator Kennedy's final hypothetical cut deeper still. What if government statistics are shaped by selective definitions? What if vast federal benefits are excluded from poverty calculations to paint a different picture of economic reality? Is that fraud? Perhaps not in the classic sense. But is it moral? Is it ethical? No, the nominee conceded. It does not seem ethical. That acknowledgement matters because hearings like this are not only about statutes, they are about signals, signals to agency heads, signals to governors, signals to bureaucracies that handle enormous sums of public money, signals about what will be tolerated and what will not. When the lines between legal definitions and ethical responsibilities blur, the American system depends on individuals willing to press for clarity. That is what unfolded in those 5 minutes. Not a shouting match, not theatrical outrage, but persistence. Answer my question, Counselor. In a republic built on checks and balances, those words carry weight. They reflect a simple principle. Public officials must answer plainly when entrusted with extraordinary authority, because the power to prosecute or not prosecute is one of the most consequential powers in government. It determines which scandals surface, which officials are scrutinized, which actors face consequences, and which patterns continue undisturbed. The nominee pledged to pursue fraudsters, to use the tools of the Department of Justice to focus on criminal prosecutions. That commitment is essential, but the broader question lingers. Will enforcement be even-handed? Will investigations reach beyond convenient targets? Will oversight withstand political discomfort? The health of the American system depends on those answers. Fraud in federal programs is not an abstract issue. It affects national debt. It affects trust in institutions. It affects citizens who depend on these programs for stability. When misuse occurs, whether through direct deception or silent tolerance, it erodes faith. And faith, once eroded, is not easily restored. The hearing revealed something deeper than policy differences. It revealed the ongoing struggle to define accountability in an era of massive federal spending and intense political polarization. It exposed the delicate balance between legal standards and ethical responsibility. It underscored that justice is not only about what can be charged, but about what must be confronted. In the end, the nominee's words will matter less than the actions that follow. The investigations launched, the cases prioritized, the independence maintained or compromised. Because the American people are watching. They are watching whether taxpayer dollars are defended without fear or favor. They are watching whether political actors are shielded or scrutinized. They are watching whether justice is applied evenly, not selectively. Moments like this hearing remind us that democracy is not self-sustaining. It requires vigilance. It requires courage. And it requires leaders willing to ask uncomfortable questions and officials willing to answer them directly. The rule of law is strongest when clarity replaces ambiguity. When ethics align with enforcement, when public trust is treated not as a slogan, but as a sacred obligation. That is what was at stake in those 5 minutes, and that is what remains at stake today. If you believe accountability should rise above politics, if you believe public funds deserve uncompromising oversight, if you believe justice must be applied without hesitation, stay informed, stay engaged. Subscribe to Liberty Report USA. Support our work to expose the truth.